everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Kimmell and Cox. I am Dylan Kimmell, and I am here as I am every
week?
Yeah, every week. Shoot, thanks. With my good friend Keith Cox.
Oh yeah, feeling good. Happy to be here.
Shoot. Oh man, what a week. What a day, actually. Shoot.
Yeah.
How was your week? How were you doing?
It's been good. Been very busy, work wise. Things have been pretty slammed at work lately. So
things are changing up for me at work myself. So it's another transition here.
Oh yeah, you're getting ready to transition into a new job here pretty soon, aren't you?
Yeah, and conveniently around the same time that they were about to change my schedule too.
Oh, there you go.
So
it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. I tend to believe. And speaking of which, speaking of things happening here, we are almost so close to showing up at the LexCon.
Yes, we are there. We are just days away. Actually, the day that this episode airs, we will be at Lexington Comic-Con.
Yes, come visit us.
Yes, come see us. We're going to have a booth out there. It's going to be great.
It's going to be pretty meta when this episode starts showing up and we're at the booth.
I know. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to do some live streaming or something like that while we're there, and maybe interview some con attendees or even some celebrities. And
that would be really neat.
So we'll probably mix it up a little bit. You know, maybe have one day where we'll do like a live stream, and then in lieu of a traditional podcast episode, we will probably just piece together something from our 4 days at LexCon, and we'll just kind of string everything together, some clips and everything, and just sort of give you the full Comic-Con experience. So definitely come out and see us. You can go to LexingtonComicCon.com to find out more about that, to get your tickets, find out who's going to be there, celebrity-wise, and it's going to be a great time. Really excited about it.
I am too. It's going to be a lot of fun. On a sadder note, though, I had found out just yesterday about a really great actor that he's on one of my lists there of actors I wish I could have worked with there, but he had passed away just yesterday.
Oh, right, yeah. Lance Reddick. Yeah, very sad. It seems like we've kind of kicked off 2023 with a lot of celebrity deaths, unfortunately. So, but I think it's the thing with this entertainment industry is that I guess it's just more noticeable when celebrities pass because it's it's in the news, and so you really realize the frequency of it more when you're dealing with people that are in the spotlight like that. But obviously people are passing away every day, but it's like you just don't really know about it or aware about it when it's not on that like a national level. But yeah, very sad to hear indeed.
Yeah, he was on one of my lists of actors I wish I could have worked with. There's a big list there. I'm sure you have a big list of actors you wish you could have worked with, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of actors that I wish I could have met before they passed away too. But there's still an even larger list of actors that are still with us that who knows, maybe we'll have the opportunity to work with them someday. So
yeah, well, I'm sure they would have a lot of wisdom to share as well with us. And you know what? I think we are about ready to talk about a pretty good show here. Now, I finished watching 1, 2, and 3. And how far are you on this show?
Yes, on Barry. We are talking about the HBO Max original series.
Well,
Barry.
actually, it's not on the Max. It doesn't have the Max label on there. It's on regular HBO.
Okay,
but you can find it on
an
HBO Max.
series. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I've got HBO Max on the brain because
same difference. It's the same difference.
It's the same thing, but that's where you can stream it.
Yeah.
So I am about 3 episodes in to season 2. So I haven't made it all the way through the series yet, through all 3 seasons. But from what I've been watching so far, it's great. I know you had highly recommended this show, and and I had known about it. Had been hearing about it for quite some time. It's gotten a lot of attention from the as far as awards and things like that. It's won some Emmys and so I was like, I really want to check this series out because I do like Bill Hader. I think he's really funny. He's probably out of the more recent SNL cast. He's one of the best. And of course, the legendary Henry Winkler, who, depending on what generation you grew up in, most of you will probably remember him as Arthur Fonzarelli on Happy Days, which certainly is what introduced me to him, and he was outstanding on that show.
Yes, my cousin Jake, he's a really big Fonz fan there. So
fun fact, I got to meet him actually. This was in about 9 years ago, I think, 2014. I'm pretty sure at Cincinnati Comic Expo.
I also got to meet him. It was at LexCon, so that was
okay.
It was probably like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 7 years.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit more recent than, but yeah, super nice guy. Like,
wonderful human being.
He is. The funny thing is that he is so far removed from that Fonz character. Like, you really understand just what a phenomenal actor he is.
Not only that, but he's far removed from this character too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like. I joke with people about, when I got to meet him, that he's probably, demeanor-wise, he's probably a little bit closer to his character in The Waterboy than he is the Fonz.
I'd say pretty much in the Adam Sandler movies, he's more himself than he is. Like even this movie called with Kevin James.
Here Comes the Boom.
Here Comes the Boom. That's him too.
Yeah.
That's who he really is too.
But yeah, he was just super nice and gracious, and really really nice to.
Yeah, like I went up to his booth, and this was probably I can't remember if that was my first Comic-Con or the second one that I've been to, but regardless, I didn't have any cash on me. I'd forgotten to get cash, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot. And I went up to him and I was like, I'm so sorry, I forgot to bring cash. I need to get to an ATM. And he took me to the side there and he says, okay, I'll direct you to some ATMs here. And he told me exactly where to find them. And I was like, thank you very much. Yeah.
I could see him saying that because that's very much the way that he talked. Like, when I came up to him and because they had different options, like whether you wanted to get an autograph or get a picture taken with them or whatever. And so I walked up to him and told him, it's like, hey, Mr. Winkler, it's such an honor and a pleasure to meet you and everything. And he's like, and he thanked me. He's like, okay, so what would you like to do? That's the way he talks. He's like he's very kind of soft spoken and just very polite and. So you realize just what a phenomenal actor he is and how he just transformed himself for that role of the Fonz, and he even admits to himself that's like not even close to him, but he just like such a broad character and so different and just I'll throw in one little extra piece of trivia before we get into Barry here. When he talked about his audition for the Fonz, he really didn't say anything. because he was up against tons of other actors reading for the role. They were all pretty much reading it exactly the same way, just your typical like 50s kind of greaser hood type character. And they were all like playing with their hair, like slicking their hair back and stuff, had combs in their pockets and whatever. So what he did was he walked in the audition, gets ready to start the scene, and he takes his comb out of his pocket, and he goes to do the same thing that everybody else has been doing. He goes to comb his hair, but he stops before he slicks it back. He stops as if he's looking in the mirror, and then he's like more or less like, I'm perfect. I don't have to do anything. That's what got him the role, was that he just that one little bit of business that nobody else had done is like, like, that's what we want. That's the attitude we want for the Fonz. It's like, hey, I don't need to do anything. I'm perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to just how wonderful of an actor he is, and also because here's the crazy thing. When a casting director is in the room or whatever, they know what they're looking for, but they don't know what they're looking for.
They don't know what they're looking for until they see it.
Yeah. They know they're looking for something, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah. But anyway, so far what I've seen of Barry, I've really enjoyed it. We talked about how we love a good Hitman story, and this definitely takes it in a different direction, because we have a reluctant hitman here.
He's
Bill
not.
Hader plays Barry Berkman, a.k.a. Barry Block, which we'll get into that, why he changed his name. But
it really is a good show, and unfortunately it is ending on its 4th season. There's going to be a 4th season, but it's ending.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is that, I mean, how much further could you go with this? Honestly, there has to be an end point.
Right.
There's certain shows that there has to be an end point.
Yeah.
You can't just milk it for all it's worth.
Yeah, it definitely reaches its peak, its potential, because of the just certain plot devices. You just can't possibly keep going with them. But
yeah, you can't. There's some things you can't stretch. You compare it to a rubber band. You can stretch a rubber band, but there is a breaking point to that rubber band. And if you keep stretching it, eventually that's going to break. And then we've seen with some shows, they keep that rubber band broken, and they just stretch the broken rubber band until the audience members plummet.
That's the mistake I think that a lot of shows make, is that they try to take it beyond that breaking point, and then people get tired of it, and then that's when a good show turns bad. It's like, well, it was good, it was really good up to this point. They should have just left it right there.
And here's the key thing that even I think a lot of Hollywood kind of forgotten too is that what happened to that old saying there? Keep the audience wanting more. So that's one thing that some of these shows don't. But I feel like that this show is pretty good at keeping the audience wanting more.
Oh, definitely.
So Barry is a black comedy. And a black comedy, for those unfamiliar with a black comedy is a comedy that makes light of what would generally be considered taboo. And there's certainly a lot of dark stuff in this.
Making awkward situations, because I mean the primary, I guess, subject matter is you're dealing with death and with murder here, because again, Bill Hader is a hired assassin. He's former. He's a military vet who served in Afghanistan, and so he has a lot of experience with killing people, and he uses that, in this series. And he reaches a point where he realizes that he doesn't want to be a slave to this anymore. He doesn't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
He wants to have a normal life, but somehow
But he's too good at what he does.
Yeah, and so it keeps calling him back. You know, he kind of keeps getting sucked into these missions or whatever that he doesn't want to be a part of.
To quote Al Pacino, "Once I thought I was out, they bring me back in."
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a good Al Pacino impersonator, so I ain't
there's not many people that are. He's a tough one to crack. But yeah,
Bill Hader could have pulled it off though.
Yes, he does actually do a really good Al Pacino impression. But yeah, it's you're dealing with very difficult subject matter but they find a way to do it in such a humorous way that it allows you to. It's like people are getting their heads blown off and stuff basically, but somehow it's like it's funny.
Yeah.
And then him having to deal with the sort of the repercussions of that, and not being able to tell people what he does for a living,
and there's an interesting thing about this show is that you cannot live a double life. A double life, it will eventually.
Yep, it will catch up to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the truth will always find its way out some way or another. It's depending on whether you want to believe that it's karma or the universe or God or whatever your belief system may be. It's going to catch up to you sooner or later, and you can't keep secrets. You can't hide everything forever. So this show is a great example of that too.
Well, it aired March 25th, 2018. So it's about to enter its anniversary here soon, same as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Yeah. So we're doing the month that these shows came out here.
These anniversary shows. Yeah.
Again, we did not plan that.
No,
it was
happened totally unintentional. We're just like,
but it's currently had 3 seasons, 4th one and final one on its way, and all 3 seasons have been nominated for Emmys.
Yes, I know Henry Winkler won an Emmy for his role, which as
Gene
Cousineau.
Yeah, Gene Cousineau.
He's an acting teacher in this, and so this was the first time that he had won an Emmy actually since he was on Happy Days.
Yeah.
So I think he's been nominated several times since then, but this is the first time that he won an Emmy. So that's a pretty big deal there.
There's a scene in the 2nd season that I wish you could have seen. I know you haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But there's a particular episode where I'm like, that is great. that is just perfect. And I think the interesting thing is that I like to compare this to how I was going to do Incentive to Kill. Because it has, I think that also has that morbid sense, although my Hitman is not reluctant. He tends to enjoy what he does, maybe a little too much.
Yeah, and I think he thinks that he's better than he actually is. He's very overconfident, honestly. But that's what's funny about it. It's like, so yeah, I could see some similarities there for sure. In the type
I feel like if I could get Bill Hader and I to co-write, like bring him on to rewrite my script, there we might have something really good there.
There you go.
Probably won't ever happen, but let's see here. Let's go over the cast here. Bill Hader plays Barry Berkman, aka Barry Block, and Stephen Root plays Monroe Fuchs.
Yes, Stephen Root. There is a guy that
he's a very good character.
Very busy, and a very busy working actor. He's been in so much stuff. I think most people would probably remember him from Office Space. It's like, have you seen my stapler?
Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Dodgeball.
A lot of really comical roles that he's played over the years. But yeah, great character.
This one's probably his most straight one.
Yeah.
but it's still comical
It works very well.
Because he ends up being the character that gets abused a lot.
Yeah, I've noticed that so far. He's like he gets tortured and questioned a lot.
The scene where they end up getting interrogated by the Chechens, and they take a filer and
start filing down his teeth.
I was like, great. and there's Bill Hader's character. He's like, oh, come on, you can't do. And he goes through. The guy ends up. Oh shoot, that's just too hilarious. It's cringy because you don't. You could just feel like, oh. Ooh.
Well, and then Barry shoots him. Like Barry shoots him through the window. And it's like one of those things where you don't know what's just happened. Like your mind has to catch up because he's standing there, and then all of a sudden, it just like blood just starts spurting out of the back of his head, and you're just like, what just happened here? And then the camera pans over to the window, and you see that Barry has just shot the guy through the window. But yeah, there's a lot of moments like that are just like unexpected, and it's like it's not supposed to be funny, but it is.
When he gets kidnapped in the background there. Honestly, all those things, I guess it does speak to my sense of humor, because I feel like I've written a couple of scenes similar to that in some way or another, especially in The Kill. It's like just because even your character in that got abused a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he got his ass kicked quite a bit.
Yeah, I even had him
getting thrown into the trunk of a car and just all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
I guess I like torturing people. I don't know. I mean, there was that moment where I kind of laughed maniacally while I was pouring cold water on you,
right,
when we were doing the Soul Adrift.
Yeah.
I saw that once I heard that back. I was like, that's kind of evil there.
It's like, how many takes do we have to do with this? But we'll continue with the
we get sidetracked here, but. Sarah Goldberg as Sally Reed.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
A very good actress playing an actress trying to get a job.
Yep, which I think a lot of us can identify with that. I
feel like this show is very relatable to the acting community trying to get jobs.
Absolutely. There's some great jokes in there about the audition process and about agents and managers and how all that works. And there was one joke in particular, season 1, that I remembered where they were all the students from the acting class were at a local bar sitting around talking, and one of them was like, I asked the director, where is this going to be? Where's this going to be seen at? Talking about whatever movie they had just worked on, and he told me the internet. Yeah, and that's pretty much where all your stuff is. That's pretty much a reality for especially for independent filmmakers and stuff. Is like it's. Unless you're fortunate enough to get some kind of a distribution deal or something, there's just a lot of stuff on the internet now. A lot of films are going.
Speaking of, you can find my short films on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, completely free.
Completely free. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that stuff was really good.
Anthony Carrigan as No-Ho Hank. Now that's a funny character.
Yeah, very good. And he was also very good in Gotham.
Yes, as Zaz there. Now, he suffers from a condition that, what's that condition called? Where he actually has no hair.
Oh, is it alopecia? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. That's the only one I can think of where people lose their hair.
And he doesn't have any hair anywhere there. But... He's made it, his own. I think anyone, when they start losing their hair, feels like they probably lost their looks and everything like that. But he's made it. He's made
it work, and he also has a very unique look anyway. Mm-hmm. And I think the shaved head just
amplifies
adds to that. But yeah, his character is very funny in this as well.
Oh yeah. So you've seen the season 2, so you've seen probably that episode where he's in the store with the wig on, right?
I haven't made it quite that far in a season 2 yet, but
all right. So you know, there's so much we could talk about. I don't know that I'm going to say much about this show, like plot wise. So, I mean, I do have my notes here, so I know exactly where to go from here. You know, I know it escalates. You know, we can talk about season 1 if you'd like. Season 2. Obviously, the Chechen mob and the I'll give you a rundown of the second season. Chechen mob and the who's their adversaries there? Oh crap! Well, whoever they are, they end up having a dispute or whatever.
There was was it the Bolivians?
Yes, the Bolivians.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I was
like the
I was
Chechens
going
and the Bolivians.
I was going back and I was like thinking, you know what? I believe it was the Bolivians that Christopher Lloyd's character in Back to the Future kind of was like stole from.
I thought that too, but then I was like, no, that was Libyans.
It was Libyans, yeah. It was the Libyans. It wasn't the Bolivians.
It's a little confusing.
It's close. It's close in sounding alike, but they rhyme. So, but oh man. So basically, the show is that basically Barry is hired by the Chechens to assassinate a guy that had an affair with the boss's wife.
Right.
And the guy Barry ends up locating him to a acting
follows
class.
him, to an acting class. He just stumbles onto it, like he goes to follow him in the building, and then finds he gets
bit by the bug.
Yes, he finds Sally.
He finds Sally, who's like
she's
studying her
rehearsing
lines,
for a scene.
Curses him out for interrupting,
and he's like, "What's going on here?" And then he follows her into the building and realizes, that he's just walked into the middle of an acting class, and everyone thinks that he is there to take acting classes. Yeah. And so he kind of has to go along with it because he can't say, "No, I'm actually here to kill one of your students." But then through that process, he discovers that, hey, maybe this is something that I would like to do as well. Like, I want to get out of this line of work that I'm in right now and do something different with my life.
And that is not something that that Fuchs, his partner, likes at all. Like Fuchs is the one that gets him the jobs and everything like that. And there ends up.
He knows that Barry is the best too. That's the thing. Is like he knows if he doesn't have Barry, then he doesn't get any money. His ass is on the line.
Yeah.
So
because
as we see at the beginning of season 2, he attempts to once Barry says I'm out, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. This is the last time. He attempts to replace him with somebody else who turns out to be highly incompetent and ends up getting himself killed. Yeah. And then he realizes I gotta get Barry back. I gotta bring him back into this world.
He's actually kind of a selfish character.
He is.
Not only that, but he actually does get jealous of Barry's relationship with Gene Cousineau. Mm-hmm. And it comes to a head near that end of season 2 there. Okay. So I won't get into it because I know you haven't gotten that far. Do you remember? Now, I have to mention this scene because I love this scene. This is like the epitome of my sense of humor right there. So there's this probably 3 episodes in from season 2. Mm-hmm. You're going to find out that the guy that I'm going to be spoiling this for you.
Oh, that's okay.
But the guy who was in season 1, who the detective mourning his wife leaving him, hires Barry to assassinate the guy that took his wife.
Okay.
So Barry goes and finds the guy, and he's reluctant to take the job, and he's like, "Listen, here's some money, here's some cash. Please just go, just leave town, everything, right?" And the guy knows Taekwondo.
Well, that'll be interesting.
And so does his little girl.
I can already picture how that scene will play out.
It is it is freaking it is hilarious. It's so good. So the thing about this show is that it was created by Bill Hader and Alec Berg. Bill Hader actually, when he first started his career, he actually went to the New York Film Academy, and I was wanting to go to that one too.
Yeah.
He actually started out wanting to be a director. Interesting enough.
Yeah.
And it was through that he found people that like Saturday Night Live, and that's how his Saturday Night Live career got started. And I just found it very interesting, very awesome that he ended up using all of that stuff that he learned through his, years in New York Film Academy up to Saturday Night Live, up to, having an acting career and everything. It's all come to a...
it's like culminated with,
because he's directed a few of the episodes.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. Yeah.
And written a few of them.
And just the fact that he started out on the other side of things, on the other side of the camera with writing and directing, and that, he found a way to take that creativity and bring it to life himself, through these characters that he's created.
And I don't know if I'll say that it's his best character, but it's certainly up there.
Yeah.
Honestly, it might be his best one so far, because I'm looking back and he's done a lot of stuff, and they've all been really good. I mean, but this one
is certainly his most layered character.
Yes,
yeah.
There is definite layers to this character, complicated layers, and the guy is conflicted. He's not sure if he's a good person or a bad person, and I think he's relatable in some ways. Maybe hopefully not the murderous part.
Right. I don't really know that anybody can relate to that. Hopefully,
yeah.
But
the relatable part being that he's conflicted about who he is.
But there was a great scene in season 1 where they're doing an acting exercise, and they're talking about their truth. Each of them, they're acting out a scene from their life that basically tells who they are.
Mm-hmm.
and
you mentioned this, yes.
Yeah, and so we find out that, of course, that the subject of that comes up with Barry killing people, them not knowing obviously that he's a hitman. They just think that he's referring to his time in the military. Mm-hmm. Because, again, he was, a military veteran, served in Afghanistan and all that, so they know that he obviously had to kill people in his time with the military. And so, but he starts getting, angry, starts getting defensive, and because he's more or less or you all are, sometimes, you have no choice. He was talking about the character, but really he's talking about himself. He's like, he was just doing his job. He was just following orders. Sometimes that happens. Doesn't mean you want to kill people, but you're in a position where you have to do what your superiors are telling you to do. And so then Henry Winkler as Gene, comes over to him, and he's trying to calm him down. He's like looking at the class, and he's like, I think what Barry is referring to is his time serving in the military, and boy, do we thank you for your service. And he said, and because he's like, because the other students are talking about how anybody that kills somebody is a fucking psycho,
Yeah.
And so Gene gives this whole little spiel or whatever,
yeah.
and calms Barry down, and then he turns to the class and he's like, but I think we can all agree that if you kill somebody outside of military service, you're a fucking psycho. Yeah. So it's in that one moment. It's like he's siding with Barry,
but at the same time,
and then he's turning around and agreeing with the class, of course, not knowing anything about Barry's background. So I thought that was a really funny scene.
Yeah, and there is another beautiful moment there where there's a scene in I think it was season 2 where he asks NoHo Hank, of all people, "Am I an evil person?"
Yeah.
NoHo Hank. You can imagine what he says. He's like,
right.
Have I not said it enough? Yes, of course. You're the most evil person ever. Congratulations. But that comes to ahead in season 3 where, things just blow out of proportion here. And I won't get into details because you haven't got there yet. But there's this one particular scene where someone from his former military career finds him, and he talks to him and he says, Barry, you're not a bad person.
So he gets that validation, that affirmation for once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it something else that I thought was really good in this show is the subplot with Barry and Sally, because they develop a romantic interest in each other, and
it gets really intriguing as the show goes on, because one, you're also invested in her character just as much as Barry's, because you want her to succeed in her career too, but she's the relatable aspect in, like, especially with the acting community, because you experience her and then Barry's like one of the supportive people in her life too.
Right. They kind of feed off of each other in that way, and that they're always lifting each other up. And I think she had a lot to do with Barry changing his way of thinking about things, and she kind of she kind of encouraged him to. I think it was really her that pushed him to the point of going to Fuchs and saying, this is it. I'm not helping you anymore. She gave him the courage to do that. And he's like, this is not the life I want to live anymore. I aspire to better things, and then likewise, he's always like, telling her what a great actress she is, and that she's got to keep chasing her dream, and that she's gonna make it. And so I think it's nice the way that they do that for each other.
Yeah, and they certainly personalities certainly do start to rub off on each other with those two, and especially in season 3. I won't get into the details there because I don't want to spoil it. I mean, I know you don't mind if I spoil.
No, it's okay, because we're sharing this for everybody else too. If they to give them things to look forward to and reasons to watch the show. So
it is one of those shows where, man, it is really good. I really enjoyed this. It is up there with one of my favorite shows. If I were to put it on a list of my top favorite shows, I don't know if I want to do it top 5, top 3, or whatever. But some of those shows would have to be... Man, there's so many good shows.
There's a lot of good stuff out there now.
Yeah. If I were to just put it in like the darker stuff, let's do it that way.
Separate it.
Yeah. Because there's so many different reasons I like Incredible Hulk and everything.
Right.
But so it would be up there with Breaking Bad. And you haven't watched Breaking Bad.
And I haven't watched Breaking Bad yet, but that's coming. Probably.
It's probably going to be next season.
Probably during the probably be binge watching that during our summer break.
Yeah, because that's like 5 seasons, I think it is, that you have to watch there. So I mean, they are short seasons, just like Barry is. I think we've come to an era where we've realized you don't need filler episodes.
Right, because for a long time, and they still do this on network TV.
Well, that's because I mean, studios they issue you to have this many episodes, right?
It's a contract thing.
But
when you're doing like 21, 22, episodes per season, which is kind of the norm for those network shows, you do because you've got to crank out scripts so quickly to keep that show going that you are going to have some okay episodes. You're going to have some stinkers. So it's like someone once said that typically on a show like that you can count on about 1 out of every 4 episodes being great.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have some, like I said, some kind of, middle ground episodes, and then you're going to have some that are awful.
Yeah.
Just because, and a lot of it has to do with budgeting too, because they might spend more on one particular episode over another, and so the ones that had the lower budget, you can really see where they were taking the shortcuts on that, and so yeah, there's a lot of different things that factor into that. But now when you have shows like this that are on either premium channels or one of the streaming services or something like that, it gives them a lot more freedom. They can invest more because there's fewer episodes, and so it's like literally where like every episode is good because they can.
It does because they're able to hone in on that budget, and they're able to make a very good story all the way around. Like great cast, great. There's not like there's very rarely any stinker episodes or anything like that. I mean, there is one particular episode in Breaking Bad where it's called The Fly. And what happened was they lost a lot of money. They didn't have enough money for the rest of the season, so they used it for just this one little filler episode. And here's the funny thing. Sometimes filler episodes are good.
Occasionally they can be, yeah.
Very rarely, though. Very rarely. But it's one of those few that are really good. Barry does not have any filler episodes. Every episode is important to the next.
Yeah.
And it is very well cast. And there's so many memorable moments. I cannot get to all of them because there's just so many of them through 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it. And
I do too. I'm definitely glad that I got into it. Like I had a feeling that I would like it, and but just for different reasons, just hadn't gotten around to watching it yet.
Even the opening scene when NoHo Hank's like, okay, here's what we found in the hotel, and he shows Barry the video. He's like, and the boss is like, why are we watching this?
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, to give him idea of what he's up against.
He's like he already knows what's happening. He doesn't need to see it. Like it's just like because the
guy shows
because the guy his wife has obviously she's been cheating on him and so they're showing a video that was captured like
on a lipstick camera
and in the midst of the affair, and he's like, it's like, why are we, because it's like it's almost like they're watching porn. He's like, we don't need to see this. It's like he gets the idea. He knows what's happening. But yeah, there's a lot of moments like that where they're dealing with something that shouldn't be funny, but they find a way to make it humorous.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
But yeah, highly recommend the show. So get on HBO Max and check that out. Start streaming now.
Yes, it's very good. And I believe that is all the time we have for this episode, is it not?
Yes, it goes by so fast.
So fast. Shoot, there's so much to talk about this show, but I'm sure you'll all find your own experience with it much more entertaining because it is very much worth the watch. And
you can join in on the conversation. Let us know.
Yes.
Let us know what in the comments. Let us know if you've seen Barry. Let us know what you think of the show. And
do you find any relatable context with it too? Preferably not the murderous one. If it is, please just. I don't know if you should keep that to yourself or not. Maybe you should just turn yourself in or something.
Yeah, really. But yeah, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can comment on our YouTube channel. You can go on our socials, or you can send us an email and But Dylan, tell everybody a little bit more about that, about all the different places where they can reach us. And
like he mentioned, you can comment below and let us know how what you think of the show. What do you think of Barry? What do you think of our show, the Kimmell and Cox?
Yes.
And please, you can follow us. Please like and subscribe.
Yep, subscribe, like, and share. That's important. That's a big one.
It is tremendous help when you do. And also, as Keith had mentioned, you can email us. We'll provide that link for you here as well. And you can also listen to us on, Spotify. There's iHeart Radio. We have Amazon Music.
A lot of different places where you can catch the podcast besides YouTube.
Yeah,
a lot of people prefer listening to their podcasts like on their morning commute or whatever, on their way to work.
I don't know,
on their lunch break.
I don't know if you're like me, where if you're watching some sort of channel and stuff, and you're so used to hearing the people's voices, and then once you see their face, you're like, I'm disappointed.
Hopefully that's not the case with us, but if it is, if you'd rather just listen to us rather than see our faces, then you have the option there. I know when I'm at work, like a lot of times, I have a little Bluetooth earpiece that I keep in, and so that's a good way to I can. If I wanted to, I mainly use it for phone calls and stuff like that. But if you have a job that's like that, you could listen to the podcast while you're working. If you have the freedom to do that. Yeah,
I think it's a very good listen. Honestly, I think we have very good talks. Speaking of talks, we can also communicate through our social medias.
Yes.
And we will provide the links of our social medias there. We have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have Instagram, TikTok,
even TikTok. Yeah, and
I'm not a fan of the TikTok thing. It confuses me.
Yeah, but still, both of us are still getting used to that. We were not avid TikTokers like before this podcast.
I wasn't even on Vine. So
yeah, I had. Before I got rid of all my personal social medias, I was on Facebook for a really long time, for the longest time.
I don't even think you can get back on Facebook now that you know how much has changed. You're
it has. It's changed so much. But yeah, I was on there for about 12 years that I was on Facebook, and then I had for a little while I had an Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, TikTok is definitely new to me, and still trying to figure out a lot of that stuff. And but yeah, you can definitely check us out on our socials and get in on the conversation there too. And
also, as we mentioned in the beginning of our episode here, we will be at LexCon, so yes. I'm just bringing that back up here. Yep. So
the 23rd, March 23rd through the 26th, we will be there all 4 days, and we'll have a booth out there. Come out and say hi. There's going to be some great celebrity guests there, so be sure to go on their website and see who's going to be there. So while you're out there, meeting some of your favorite celebrities and comic book creators, come by and see us, while you're there, and we'll be happy to see you. And but we're really excited and just can't wait for that. I think it's going to be a really fun time, especially from two people that previously have gone to these events as an attendee or spectator, and now to be on the other side of it and to be there with the other vendors and everything is going to be really cool. And I'm sure we're going to come into contact with a lot of really cool people and like-minded people while we're there. So we hope you can make that. Again, go to LexingtonComicCon.com to get your tickets and to find out more details about that. So because this will be again, as this episode airs, we will actually be at LexCon. So yeah.
So we're having a ball there right now. So, but yeah, that does it for this episode. And as my dear friend Keith would say, what would you say?
As always, be good to yourselves, and we hope you'll join us next week. So we'll see you then.
You dipstick.